My name is Mike Witt. I'm a student at Texas Tech University, EDSP 5383. The instructor is Dr. Michael Monroe. Today is September 7th, 2025. This video is to help us learn the anatomy of the human eyeball. Before we begin, a brief disclaimer. Some people would say that I'm fixing to compromise my academic integrity. Some people call these cheaters, but I call them accommodators. So we're going to break the eyeball into three basic sections. The exterior of the eyeball, the very outer part, the white of our eye, is called the sclera. A very tough fibrous tissue, and it runs all the way here to here. So the outside of the eyeball, sclera. Inside of that is the choroid, another tough tissue that helps support the eyeball. Intraocular pressure we'll talk about in a minute. And it separates the sclera from the retina, which is kind of important. So the retina is also part of the outside of the eyeball, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, also on the outside, if I can slow down a bit, this is the cornea. So it's the outside of the front of the eyeball, and it's clear. It has no blood vessels, has to be nourished by other things. But it's important because it is the main refractor of light. When light comes in, it needs to bend, and we need to focus it back here, ideally. So it's the most helpful structure with that. Inside of the cornea is the pupil. The pupil is the dark part in the middle of our eye, and it's actually not a structure, it's more of an opening. And it opens and closes, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, the color of our eyes, the iris. Mine are blue, yours might be brown or green, but the iris is, like I say, the color of our eye, and it contains muscles that contract or expand, changing the diameter of this pupil, which allows more or less light in. And then also on the anterior, this front part of the eye, we have ciliary bodies. Ciliary bodies, they have two main functions. They first of all, they attach to the lens here. The lens is another clear structure that refracts light. It also, working in conjunction with the iris, it works with distance. Like when you're looking at something far away, it's relaxed and it's trying to see far away. When it's looking at something close, I think I have this backwards. It's contracting. So it's constantly going like this. And this is the accommodation I was talking about. The ciliary bodies, they control that contraction. Ciliary bodies, they also produce vitreous, a watery substance that is all in here. It keeps the eye clean, free of germs. It also gives nutrients to these clear parts, the lens and the cornea, that don't have blood vessels. And then speaking of the aqueous, it's produced by the ciliary body, and it's like a plumbing system. It has to have a exit point, and that's the canal of Schlemm right here. So the canal of Schlemm is where the aqueous exits the body, so we can keep fluid moving the whole time and flush things out. So what else? We have two more parts, and this looks like the suspensory ligament. It also helps the ciliary body with the contraction, with accommodation, the contraction and expansion of the lens. And then we have, the ora serrata. These are 2 points right here that separate the retina from the ciliary body. And then we have the conjunctiva, this little organ out here that it provides lubrication and cleanliness to the outside of our eye. So that, I believe, double checking, that's the anterior portion. And then the posterior portion, the back here, we have vitreous, another fluid, but it has a much thicker viscosity than the aqueous. very thick, gel-like, and it keeps the shape of the eyeball. It keeps these photoreceptor cells of the retina in their place. Vitreous. And then we have, well, let's talk about the retina for a minute. The retina's got two types of photoreceptor cells. Rods, they help us with, they help us with dark and light variations and peripheral vision and motion detection. Rods are largely concentrated towards the front of the retina, and then cones, which are responsible for visual acuity and color reception, those are more towards the back. The macula is an area back here that has the highest concentration of cones, and very important for the reception of light. And then even more concentrated than that is this little notch right here called the fovea centralis. Highest concentrations of cones in the eye, and very important. And it's got no blood vessels or nerves to interfere with what it does. So then all of these photoreceptors, all these nerves are going to exit through a bundle called the optic nerve right here. The optic nerve takes all these photos, changes them into nerve impulses, and carries to the brain. And it carries them through this little blank spot here. There's a little absence of retina here. We call it our blind spot. And that's called the optic disc. And the optic disc not only provides a pathway for the optic nerve to go out, but also for nerve and blood vessels to come in to control and nourish the eye.